Hi. It's such a shame that where I live is on a main road and it's really hard to record videos, but I wanted to record a proper video for this. So you could see I'm a human. I am somebody that you can take seriously. I'm not just on my dog walk outside in a field. Because when I talk about addiction versus physical dependence on a benzodiazepine or an antidepressant or an antipsychotic, those two things are so different. More so on a benzo, there is this label of addiction. People do take this drug for that reason. They can get addicted to it, I guess, because they're taking it for a high, for not as a medication as prescribed. However, people like me took it as prescribed. I was given it for tinnitus. I thought it was going to help my tinnitus. I thought it was going to help me sleep. Therefore, apparently, better sleep meant better tinnitus. However, ironically, the drug causes tinnitus, and actually the withdrawal, it's pretty deadly and comes with chronic tinnitus and insomnia. So anyway, I wanted to come on here because I feel so passionately about this subject, because I was misdiagnosed, wrongly labelled throughout my entire experience. Being youthful, being a free spirit, being a creative, wearing colourful clothes, I was labelled as a drug addict. The way I speak, I was called white privileged drug addict throughout my experience on a number of occasions. And the problem is that when you're on a benzo, you can get into a tolerance situation. Now, this can happen quite quickly. For me, it happened very quickly within a month. It can happen over a period of years. It's really different for everyone. However, tolerance can look like you're going insane. I lost a lot of weight. I already have a little bit of heroin chic going in terms of I've always had these bags. You lose a lot of weight. You have this weird kind of restlessness to you. You start having dark thoughts. All these things start to happen, which make you look like you are losing it. You're an addict. You're becoming this kind of fiend that needs the drug. Whereas actually, quite the opposite is happening. Your body has become physically dependent on the drug. You don't know that. In fact, a lot of people realize that the drug is making them very sick, so they stop the drug, and then all of a sudden they're propelled into benzo withdrawal. And it is, well, I think it's one of the worst, if not the worst, drug withdrawal out there. Anyway, I was one of those people that was naive, I guess. I didn't know what a benzodiazepine was. I didn't know what lorazepam was. I didn't know that it was called Mother's Little Helper. I had no idea. And, Valium, yes, I had heard of Valium. And, I knew that was something that I never wanted to take. I didn't need to take, and it was just so unfortunate that the doctor I went to with my tinnitus gave me lorazepam, because if he had offered Valium, I would not have taken that, and I would have known in my mind, okay, no, this isn't to be taken every day. The doctor told me to take lorazepam every day for 6 months, every evening for sleep, and he said it would help me get back on the track of sleep. Now, before, with the tinnitus, my sleep wasn't great, but I was still sleeping. It was just broken. And I also was quite distressed about my tinnitus. So I thought, okay, well, this drug will calm me. Before this, I was not a drug taker. Again, it's so easy to judge. Youthful, I go to festivals, I love music, I'm creative, like I said. I wear sometimes crazy clothes. I've got some piercings, or I did, and I had crazy hair at one point. It's so easy to judge. And I was never, I tried drugs in my early 20s, but I was never somebody that took them to have fun. I experimented, but I never had a good time on them. I wasn't somebody that really took to that sort of thing. So I was very happy just going to a festival as me. And so I was very much not that way inclined. And that was even more of a stark reality for me when I ended up in this withdrawal. And my friends at the time, as soon as they see what drug you're taking, they're like, "Oh, Emma, are you taking that because you're like addicted to it? Like you feel like you need it, like you're taking it, like, ugh." I'm like, no, I'm just taking it because the doctor said that it would help me sleep. And unfortunately, you have this thing where, and what I had after about a month, is the drug just stopped working. It's not supposed to be taken long term. I've got a very high metabolism. I don't take to drugs like very well. So, I was really taking this as kind of a last resort, to be honest. But again, I had no idea. I was not informed at any point that this drug was dangerous. The doctor said he gave it to old women. So there's me, not a fan of drugs or taking them, but I'm thinking, well, if he gave it to old women, perhaps that's okay. And, I really am wanting my tinnitus to get better. Anyone out there struggling with tinnitus and severe tinnitus will know that when it happens, it's a journey. And there's lots of other things that we can do to overcome that tinnitus. I'm going to do that in a separate video. But today is about addiction and physical dependence. And I just wanted to paint this picture for you about how this happened to me, how I got into this situation. Because on the outside, so much assumption and so much judgment can come. And like I say, I was given this by a private doctor, said it was safe. As soon as I started having problems after about a month, losing weight, tremors, insomnia, this crazy anxiety that would just wake me up in the morning like this, and 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 3 a.m., it got worse and worse and worse when I got up in the morning. And I was just declining. I wasn't getting better. But at no point did anyone say it could be the drug or, oh, it's the drug. Like, it was in the pandemic, so I wasn't around as many people as I would be around. I was with my dad at the time, and I didn't have very many people around me. No one really knows. No one knows about medication, including doctors. So no one told me at any point that it could be the drug that was causing these problems. And I started to look like a maniac. I started to look like somebody who was losing their mind. And so, okay, you've got this benzodiazepine, little do I know, has a name up for itself, that it's mother's little helper. Some people take it because they're addicted, or as an addict, heroin addict, coke addict, I don't know, any sort of addict, alcoholic, they're taking it in that way. That this drug has that connotation around it, then you're there innocently taking it as prescribed, but you're starting to get really unwell on it because you're being harmed by the drug. It's tapping into your GABA receptors and your amygdala, very important parts of the brain. Your calm, the part of your brain, the fear center of your brain. Wicket, baby. It's my little dog. He thinks he's a guard dog. And so once those bits start to get fried by this drug, and that's why you're not supposed to take it long term, because that's what it will do, you start having these unnatural feelings of terror, suicidal thoughts. It's just the crazy amounts of fear. You're just in this place of horror. And it's very difficult to function in this place, to sound like a normal person. You start having these looping thoughts. I mean, anyone looking at me would have been like, this person has lost her mind. And because, again, benzodiazepine withdrawal is not recognised, no one at any point was like, oh, it could be the drug. They just labelled me as a drug addict. And as you can see, it's very easy thing to do, because you've got a drug that has a name for itself, and then you've got the symptoms that basically match what the drug is basically known for. Well, widely known for, I guess. I mean, I didn't know, and a lot of people don't. And the amount of people that I speak to that get put on these drugs, and you've got loads of benzodiazepines. You've got Klonopin, Temazepam, Clonazepam, Lorazepam, Valium. There's probably more that I'm not thinking of right now. But again, if you're not familiar with these drugs, I mean, Valium, like I say, is quite mainstream, and I knew, but I didn't know anything about these drugs before. I didn't know what benzodiazepine was before. And I'm just speaking this because I think so many people don't. Because, I mean, I wasn't into medication. I didn't really go to the doctors that much. You go to the doctors because you trust them. I did do my own research eventually, and I saw, when it got to about a month on this drug, I saw that it said that you're not supposed to take it for any longer than 4 weeks. And so I said to this, I questioned him, I got it all in emails. I'm not feeling myself. Could it be the drug? Is this drug dangerous? No, it's absolutely fine. There's no way that it could be the drug. Don't read Google, Dr. Google. I mean, the amount of times people said to me, Emma, you're not a doctor. Stop trying to diagnose yourself. Stop trying to listen to Dr. Google. Well, Dr. Google certainly knows more than doctors do. And I mean, that hands down is the truth at this current time in 2025. So I keep thinking it's 2024. I just wanted to talk about that because I went into this not as an addict, or I didn't have an addict personality, and I'm not shaming those who are in that space. And I do know that benzos can be used in that space. However, there's also a huge other place where people are on these drugs as prescribed, taking them for a medical reason. Insomnia, nerve pain, tinnitus, headaches, anxiety. You know, there's so many other things that we get put on these drugs for, and people just genuinely think that it's a prescribed med. The amount of doctors I went to in this experience, maybe, I don't know, 30. And I mean, you got maybe 2 of them were like, what are you doing on this drug? You're not supposed to be on this drug. It's a very big gap of knowledge. So when you're in this situation, you can end up in a very dangerous spot because no one recognizes the fact that you're in benzo withdrawal. Everyone thinks that you're a drug addict and you've got drug issues. And especially if you're me, a youthful girl who's a little bit, like I say, creative, it's just, the judgment. And I actually had my friends take me to Narcotics Anonymous, which is, you know, like Alcoholic Anonymous, like a support group for people. Because when I went into full benzo withdrawal, we still didn't know. No one knew. No one kind of put the 2 and 2 together. I knew it was the drug, but at the same time, I was in the withdrawal. So I was so confused and in the worst place possible and was just so desperate for help. So I went to this Narcotics Anonymous class or group, and I remember saying, does anyone have this feeling where they're like, they've left their body? Does anyone feel like they can't stop moving? Like I can't sleep? I'm just completely in this awful place of like the whole time. And this one girl said she had a problem with lorazepam, and she obviously was in that group where she was taking it to get high. And she was like, no, I never experienced that. I never had that problem. And I'm thinking, I don't think I'm in the right place. I mean, I kind of knew because I was like not on the drug at that point. I'd stopped it. So I was like, I don't want to take this drug. I don't want anything to do with it. I just feel horrific. I'm not a drug addict. But it's like you're so disorientated, and it was just awful. And it's just surreal when I think back to that, and everyone's there doing their 12 steps and, you know, sharing these stories, and I'm there and I'm just in benzo withdrawal. So I just wanted to share that because it can be so strong and severe, the labeling when this happens to you and the judgment that you will get. And I just want to be here to say that you're not a drug addict. And if your friends or family are watching this and they're wondering what the hell is going on, and have you been secretly taking this drug? I mean, that's what people started to think. They were like, well, she's obviously been taking this when she wasn't supposed to take it. And I'm like, the doctor prescribed this to me. How? You know, and also because they'd known me. It's very hurtful when this happens to you because you're like, you know me, right? But when you start to go into benzo withdrawal, you do look pretty wild. So anyway, that is addiction versus physical dependence. And as I was talking, I'll end on this, is the GABA receptors and the amygdala. So important parts of the brain. I urge you to do your own research and have a look at those parts of the brain, and because that's where the benzos really affect. And it kind of makes all the sense that they're harming these receptors. They're making them, they're dysregulating them, and these receptors are so important to the way we function as humans, our nervous system. So it makes total sense that the symptoms you're experiencing and this crazy stuff going on and the way you look and everything, I mean, it's a constant state. There's no break from it. Once you're in it, you can heal from it, but it's like that could go on for months. For some people, it's years, and it's just horrendous. It's a real dysregulation of the nervous system. It's not addiction. It's harm. It's damage to the nervous system. And that person is actually in like the most amount of torture a human could be in. I don't know any other suffering like this. I actually saw something about akathisia, because akathisia is the movement disorder you get, which comes with fast thoughts, suicidal thinking, terror. It's this whole, and it can go from mild to extreme. And I had from mild to extreme. And I saw this video, and this man was talking about how it was used, or it was thought to be used as some sort of torture device in like war type situations, And I'm like, I mean, people obviously know this exists. So why are we not recognizing it when someone comes into a doctor's office and is clearly having, I mean, really overwhelming symptoms? Why is this not being recognized? So yeah, this is why this page is so important. And if you're going through this, I urge you that healing is possible. It feels impossible when you're in it, and it's confusing. At the moment, there's no cure. There's no like instant fix to get us out of this withdrawal state. But healing does happen. And it often means time. It often means waiting it out. There's a lot of different things and different paths. And that's why I urge you to just keep doing your research, keep watching videos, keep finding out people's different stories. Read lots of success stories, read them, because they are real. And I certainly was one of them, because I had the most severe experience being polydrugged and going through 3 psychiatric units and being labelled with all the diagnoses. And I'm here. And I just, feel like the responsibility to say something. So if somebody's going through this, they're not an addict. Please don't call them weak. I was called a despicable human. I'm a disgrace. And I thought, God, the irony of this, because actually people who are going through this and they are managing to stay alive and not jump off a bridge or whatever, because that's all you want to do, you just want to escape the torture, are actually the opposite of weak. Wicked. They're the opposite of weak. They are in being incredibly strong. And I mean, the irony of that. Anyway,